Okay, what do we press? Yeah. Okay, that's. I'm not great with gizmos, but there we are. Yeah, but so where do you live exactly, David?
I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina,
Okay, fine. Okay.
on the East Coast of the United States. Kind of about, it's considered the South, but so it's south of Virginia, south
Okay.
of, yeah, yeah, but along the East Coast.
Right. Well, it's you know it's the last time I was part of well in a group, I suppose you call it, was Beach Boys Stop, going back in the UK, which was Andrew Doe and Mick Grant ran that publication, and I think I've got hundreds of copies of various issues back at home in the UK, and we're living in Spain right now, so you know, it's not been very easy time politically for the UK, and with Brexit, we wanted to be part of Europe more. So here we are in Spain. So I haven't got my album. I haven't got a huge album collection here. I've just bought some CDs, but I've put some of them up behind me anyway.
Well, no, it looks like you have the Beach Boys Love You. Is that the tour program, or what is that?
No, that's a music book.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I have the program. It doesn't look like that. That's right. I recognized it because that's Dean Torrance's design.
Yeah, yeah. So you know, some of the songs aren't too difficult to play, I guess. But I'm not a great player. I can sing, but I'm not a great player. I've done a little bit of ukulele and a bit of keyboard, but you know, I'm not disciplined enough. So that sort of drops away a bit.
So there's a couple of things I want to tell you. We may or may not be visited by a surprise guest.
Okay.
That's one thing, because
Wow.
that's just part of the VIP thing. We might be.
Okay.
And then let me see here. I just got to pull up. I want to pull up your card because I like to be reminded about your answers.
Oh no, yeah, you know, I was really stressed doing that. It's like an exam going back to school. And
Oh no, it wasn't meant to be.
I couldn't sleep. I was thinking, oh no, I don't know if I've put the right answers.
No, there's no wrong answer though. I mean, they've been around for so long. You know.
I still have dreams about exams that I haven't revised enough for. I've got this amount of paperwork to read through, and it's the next day.
Oh gosh. So and the other thing is, this envelope right here has a word written in it, and it's just an everyday word. It's not a word that you would hear used in any of the Beach Boys songs or anything like that. If you say it, you'll get an exclusive Beach Boys item or collectible that's historic that will be mailed to you if you say the word. So that's just another part of it.
Is it a very long word or fairly short?
No. It's just a simple everyday. It's just an everyday word that.
Okay.
You know, it's nothing all that tricky or anything. I got the idea from Groucho Marx. I'm a big Marx Brothers fan, and he used to have a television show in the 50s called You Bet Your Life. And he would have guests comes on, and there would be a duck with the big mustache and the cigar that would drop down from the ceiling if they said the word, and they'd win money. So I'm not giving away money, but I.
Well, in that case, I'm going to have to go then.
All right, take care. So no, it's just an everyday word. And if any of the VIP members say it, then they'll get something, and then I'll create another one, and then for the next thing to give away. So that's just kind of another added benefit of being a VIP member if you say it.
Wow, I think that's great. Great bit of out the box thinking. Yeah.
So, did you start with this one, or did you start with this one?
Yeah, I think I'd like to start with this one.
Yeah. So you've seen
both of them.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that is, I mean, for a start, I think it's one of the most underrated Beach Boys albums of all time anyway. And I think Steve Levine really came along at the right time with Bruce. I think Bruce introduced him, didn't he? And I just think it really worked. It was a really fine piece of work. And I like Brian's contributions, even though we got Landy still involved. I think the photos are brilliant. I mean, you know, to get, you know, the centerfold with these guys. I mean, look at, absolutely great. And one or two, like with you know, Brian and Landy and stuff like that, and you know, and Kurs Carl, and so in depth with Steve Levine. You know, it's and for Brian to go and have, you know, get your ass out of here and start getting some singing lessons, you know, type of thing, because you just crap, you know. And sometimes I think his bottom needed pushing and kicking a little bit, you know. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
And he did a great job. I mean, there are a couple of tracks I'm not so keen on. You know, I don't like the culture clubby one. Well, I forget the name of it now. But
Passing
it's,
Friend, Passing Friend, right?
Yeah, Passing Friend. Yeah, it's boring. You know, it's not. Yeah, there's some nice vocals on it, but for me, if Brian had come along with another song, it would have been an outstanding album. As it is, I think it's really good. But you know, the detail in there is just you know, superb. So congratulations on getting all that info. You know, from
thanks.
You know, from getting Steve there, and he was only a young kid. Incredible.
Yeah, very young, and again, it's what I found interesting about doing these two editions. And it's funny because now if somebody has both of these, or if they were to order them now, I would tell somebody that they should actually read this one first and then read this one, because
I think you're right.
But I didn't have all the content for this to have it ready when this came. You know, the timing wasn't quite right. So I'm glad I did it, and then somebody can have the option. Who's got both of these can have the option to go back and read this first, then read this, because what I was going to say, it's so interesting that Bruce Johnston ended up being so integral in terms of, he brought Steve Levine in, but he also brought Spencer Proffer in, and he also brought Rand Bishop in, and it was just so interesting how Bruce's kind of outside touch was so, you know, it wasn't obvious if to those who didn't know any better, but it's very clear that Bruce was kind of behind the scenes affecting all these different things. And now some people might say, oh yeah, but I don't really care for that album, or I don't care for Chasing the Sky. But I still think you look at Spencer Proffer, and he was the hottest thing going at the time.
Right.
And then followed by Steve Levine, who was also the hottest thing going at the time. So I really like that those things happened.
For sure. And, you know, what a great help to the group, because obviously they then went on further with lots of different things with Terry Melcher, and, you know, again, with Bruce's involvement, you know, in the background, and getting other guys involved. You know, their career sort of took off a little bit, didn't it? And they were doing much more live shows, and they were in the charts. And if it wasn't for Steve Levine and Bruce Johnston, I mean, you know, where would they have been? I don't know. So I think Bruce has always been a little. I've always felt that he, I don't know. He obviously left the band, but you know, I always felt he was perhaps one of the more underrated Beach Boys. You know, and I think he's a decent guy and hugely talented. He almost should have been a permanent member all the time, but I think he just had to leave at one point, didn't he? Or 2 points, but was still involved.
Well, and he ended up being, so as we found out in the fall edition with Johnston Records, you know, he wasn't just, he was always very active in the industry, right? And I can tell you from firsthand experience, when I did my Add Some Music to Your Day project, he was kind of the producer's producer for me. And I see him, I think he was that in many circumstances throughout his career, whether it was with the Beach Boys or not. Even with the '85 album, Bruce is kind of like a kind of behind the scenes guy.
Yeah.
We'll take the credit if it's due, but he would just as soon put the right person in the position so that he can help that person. And that's kind of how he is. And so I just think it's fascinating that the guys went from doing a single for a soundtrack with Up the Creek, Chasing the Sky, using an outside producer, and that kind of set them up to be somewhat comfortable with the idea of doing that entirely for an entire album.
Yeah.
You know, being, okay, outside producer for one song.
Sure.
That went off okay. Let's try that now with this guy who's red hot with Culture Club. Let's see what can happen here. And I think Steve Levine did a great job with pulling them together.
I definitely do. And he got on well with Brian. I like to see them, you know, having arms around each other a little bit. And then later on, there's another photo of him and Brian in 2005 or something. So they really hit it off well. And And I think that the time when it wasn't going very well for Steve, the recording of the album, you know, he's having a hard day, and Brian, it wasn't there, but turned up in a little car. I think his minder he'd lost the minder or something. He turned up, and Steve was out there in the yard going sort of, "Oh my God, I can't stand this anymore. I'm going crazy." Brian put his hand arm around him and said, "I know what you mean." It happens to me all the time.
I've been with these guys since '61. I know. So.
Yeah. It's a daily occurrence, man. You know.
Yeah, who was it this time? You know, right? Because he knows. Yeah. Priceless. And I think also going back to Bruce, he was quite modest, you know, I think as well. You know, you had that modest, quiet, you know, just reassuring and a good guy to have around. I'm sure he was. And one thing I've just got to say quickly, David, before I forget, is I was introduced to the Beach Boys by a friend, and he wants his name to be mentioned. Is that okay in England? Absolutely.
Yeah, his name's Nigel Godding, and I think he's in the States at the moment doing a sort of Pacific Coast tour, route, you know, the Route 101 and all that. Yeah, but he was very instrumental in me finding out about the band, the first album, Best of the Beach Boys Volume 1. I heard that and I just wore it. I bought it and wore it out. I was saying to Steve the other week, you know, I just wore the thing out, and then I bought Volume 2, Volume 3. They're all different. You know, as I said to him, they're all different to the US versions. But Nigel is a great guy. He still loves the band, and I think he's into a bit more sort of heavy stuff these days. And I said, well, you'll get over that. Don't worry. You will get over that. You'll be back. You know, it's okay. So yeah, and so yeah, credit to Nigel. Good guy.
Now, what did you like about the? You got I sent you the PDF.
Yeah.
With the interview with Stephen Gaines and some more minutia about the music videos and things like that. What'd you enjoy about that?
It's absolutely packed full, and I've got to study it again because I've only had a little look so far on the iPad. But you know, I'm just thinking, good, there's some stunning stuff in here. It really is.
Just you wait. I have stuff coming that I can't believe that I have. I have stuff coming that I cannot believe. And I've teased it in ESQ because, you know, unfortunately we lost Ron Outback in February of this year. And Ron and I had been working on like a celebration MIU piece over the course of 2019, and then we didn't talk 2020 21, but then we picked it up again in 2022, and he sent me a bunch of stuff to get familiarized with all the things that Love Songs Productions did.
Okay.
And there's a lot there, and I've talked to artists we've never heard of. I've talked to, I mean, it's just amazing the amount of you know, the usual suspects, right?
Okay.
The people that we know are associated with it. Yeah. And then there's just so many outside that are kind of in the umbrella, but names you wouldn't normally think, oh, who? I'll give you one example.
Sure.
One of the Love Songs production records, and I think it was the last one they did, was produced by Ed Talea and Rod Novak from King Harvest.
Okay.
And the album is by Mary Ann Haynes. And I think it's called A Special Lady or something to that effect. But it's a very rare album because it was released, but it didn't get any notoriety or anything. Uh-oh, guess what? I think we may have a special guest. Let's just...
Oh, no, I'm so nervous. I don't know what to do.
All right, here we go. Let's see. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Oh, no, I'm dead nervous.
Breathe. Jamie, welcome, Probyn Gregory. Probyn.
Hey.
Jamie Brewster who's in Spain.
Oh, Spain! Wow.
One of my heroes, my friend. Where is he?
Hold on, I'm trying to get the light going.
Hi, Probyn.
Probyn's in California.
Wow.
I'm in California. Yep.
I don't believe it. Have a handshake, my friend. Great. Wow.
I like your striped shirt.
Do you? I tell you what, I can send one. If you send me yours, I can maybe send you.
Well, you see, I also play in Beach Boy tribute bands, and I have to wear the striped shirt. I have a red one, I have a yellow one, I have
Do you?
different kinds of blue stripes.
Oh my goodness me! You know, I so enjoyed your playing. You know, with Brian, Smile. I mean, my goodness, it healed me. It was
Ah,
healing time. And I said to Steve on Beach Boys Basement last week that I got backstage. I think it was I don't think it was one of the big. It wasn't London. I think it was maybe Portsmouth, and I managed to smuggle my way backstage with the original Smile T-shirt on. I got in, but they stopped my wife. They said, "No, you can't come in." Oh, so but I did, and I said to Jeff Foskett, and to Brian how healed I felt after experiencing you guys doing that. And Jeff was quite talkative. Brian, obviously, you know, he just said thank you. And I was on another planet. What an incredible experience, you know. And you guys are just amazing. I think I saw you 3 times, and then yeah.
Oh, on the Smile tour, you saw us 3 times?
Yeah.
Wow.
Fantastic. I was on a cloud. I just thought this, you know, I never thought I'd ever see it. I never thought it would ever happen. And there were the finest musicians, the greatest band together, playing wonderfully with the orchestra as well. Brilliant.
Thank you. Well, you know what? We felt the same. I never thought it would happen when I first was getting together with Darian and Nick, and we were playing our little on cassettes. We had little snippets of Smile that we had bought as bootlegs.
The old bootleg cassettes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Incredible. So what are you doing right at the moment then, Probyn? What are you doing?
Well, this year. It seems like Brian's not doing too much work, but I have been subbing in with Al Jardine in his band.
I'd heard that a little. Yeah. Okay. And then what? Another hero. You know.
Yes, and you know, he still sounds great. I can't believe it. He made some kind of a deal with the devil or something
Did he?
about his voice, because to me, his voice is just as good as it ever was.
Maybe that's not the best sort of deal to do, but I'll give him a call.
Oh, it's got the voice, right?
Yeah, it still works somehow, didn't it?
Right.
You know, and again, you know, one of those guys that's just got so much for the band. You know, so solid. A great contributor, a great singer, a great player, and he does so many other good things in his life too, doesn't he?
Yes.
His environmental work and everything like that, and conservation.
Yep.
Yeah. So where have you been playing?
Where did we play? I think our most recent gig was just outside of Chicago on Labor Day. So that Labor Day is like the first part of September.
Okay.
And then where else did we play? I played in some casino in Wisconsin. We had 2 shows back east, Ridgefield, Connecticut, and Clayton, New York, which was up at the Canadian border, which was in a beautiful old opera house that very much like when I had played in Prescott, Arizona. And what was funny is that I took a picture of the opera house and I sent it to a fellow band member who had also played at the Prescott Opera House. And he said, "It's the same." And I said, "Guess what? They have a ghost too, because the one in Prescott has a ghost and the one in Clayton has a ghost."
Seriously?
Seriously.
Do they?
Well, and Probyn, you also played the show with Al in Lima, Ohio, right?
Oh yes, his old hometown.
Yeah, where they honored his dad, like they had an exhibit for his father, right? Like his father had been a photographer there.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. In fact, we played. We were the what do they call it? The opening act, the premiere act at the venue that we played had. We were the first people to play that, the Al band, the Endless Summer Band.
Yeah. Well, you look pretty good on it. I have to say, it's not doing you any harm, is it?
Oh, thank you.
Shirt now, the red one, the red and white one. That'll be fine. Just send it to me.
The striped shirt. I can get you my striped shirts and show them to you.
Have you? Oh, well, I'd rather you send me one rather than just show me.
You're not shy about asking. That's good.
Yeah, well, you've got to try. Yeah, I'm a cheeky so-and-so. You know, the reason I really like that song, that single, is because on the UK version of Sunflower, it was the opening track.
Yes.
And it really fit with the album. I wouldn't say it's, although David said it was one of my favorite, Surf's Up probably is one of my all-time favorites, but there's so many favorites. And I think Cotton Fields isn't a particularly favorite because it's not composed by them anyway. So I wouldn't call that but it just fit with the album. You know, it fit with Sunflower so well. And when you put it on a good hi-fi in 1970, it was like, phew, this is a bit of a record, you know?
Yeah, that was a really good production. For some reason, I think of that in the same, maybe because Al had a lot to do with that, and also with California Saga, which is a number that Al continues to do in his solo shows. Yeah. And he really likes singing that one. I think we've tried Cotton Fields in a couple of different keys. I think the original was in A. Al liked to do it in G. And then I think when we were doing with Brian, because his voice was a little lower, we even did it in E. And now we don't really do it with Brian much anymore. In fact, I'm trying to think of the last time I played Cotton Fields. It was a while ago.
Yeah, okay. But the album is packed full of great songs, and Dennis was really pretty well involved in the album too, wasn't he?
Oh, in Sunflower, of course.
Yeah. I'm sorry to interrupt, Jamie. I've got the exact same version. The first time I bought Sunflower, I bought the same version. I didn't know the difference. I was in a record store just kind of getting into the Beach Boys, just discovering their other albums outside of the typical best ofs or whatever. Right. And I came across Sunflower, and it had the little EMI cube up in the corner. So I knew it was an import, and I turned it over and thought, what's Cotton Fields doing on here? It's on 2020. And then I took it home and I played it, and it's the single version with the extra string introduction.
Yes.
And that I think completely changes the feel and the vibe of the song. It's just differently, because the one on 2020 is just a better produced or tighter produced, or something. It sounds a little bit more like something that a different member of the group would have done, maybe a Carl production or something like that. But the Sunflower version of it, or the single version of it, sounds a little bit more like something that, not that Brian did it because he didn't, but it does sound a little bit more artistic. It's a little bit more creative. It's a little bit more outside just the standard production box.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That was one of my favorites. I still call it probably my favorite album, because when it blew me away. But then they all have, pretty well, apart from one of the Summer in Paradise, and maybe I'm just trying to think of all the 60s ones were great, and the 70s as well. So we're blessed to have all this music, and I think I put Brian as my favorite Beach Boy just because without him we wouldn't have had it. So and he's still with us. Thank God.
He's still with us. It's amazing. I mean, when I think that just yesterday, one of the people from the association, Terry Kirkman, who was the one that played the recorder on Windy, he died. He was 83. So you never know. You never know who's gonna go next. So we have to appreciate them and let them know too.
Well, I'll tell both of you. I just read earlier today, because I just learned about Terry passing away this morning. I went to the Endless Summer Quarterly community page on Facebook, and someone had posted, I guess maybe it's an excerpt. I guess Terry put out a book, and I guess it's an excerpt of his book, and it's a whole piece about when the association were working on a song, and Brian, this is in '66, and Brian was in Studio 3 working on Smile Tracks. And Terry couldn't recall the song, but it's this little give and take with Brian trying to get the sax player to just play this little brief intro. It's just, okay, it's a beautiful day, it's an early morning. And Brian was describing the atmosphere to the sax player, so he'd close his eyes and play it. And Brian kept going, oh, and you just got a brand new pair of sneakers. And, so they did it several times. And the guy, after Brian said, it's a lovely morning, it's beautiful outside, and you just got a brand new pair of sneakers. And the guy closed his eyes and he got it. And Brian said, that's it.
That is amazing.
So that's
fantastic. Great. I love that.
are we going to hear that sometime, David?
Well, that would be. So when I read that, I was trying to kind of figure out in my mind, well, what song would that have been? So if it's 66, it could have been. It wouldn't have been Vegetables yet.
Well, what might be a little bit of interstitial stuff. Remember, there's the place in Smile where the sax goes.
Yeah,
that might have been it.
And it could have been "You Are My Sunshine." It could have been. It could have been a part of that little segment because that was unfinished until you guys completed it in 04. So it could have been a part of that whole thing with Barnyard or just somewhere in there. I mean, because it just outlined it as this like little piece, like he was really only playing like a few seconds worth, like a note or something. And Brian wanted this happy early morning note, and you have sneakers. You have a brand new pair of sneakers.
It's so good.
That's really is wonderful. You know,
that's right up there with the jingling, the shake your jewelry into the microphone.
Yes,
definitely. On Surf's Up. Yeah.
Well, so that's another one of Jamie's favorites. So, of course, who doesn't love Surf's Up? So that strikes me as a really kind of complicated, really, when I listen to the track, that's quite an arrangement.
Definitely.
When you're on stage, when you replicated that for the Smile music, or when you replicated that on stage because you played it so many times, what were you tasked with, and what amazed you about you and the other band members in terms of kind of you're being kind of given this privilege to play this music that's from so long ago, that it's attached to something so mystical and part of the mythos of pop music. When you were presented with that, what was that like, and then that experience of carrying that out with your bandmates?
Wow.
Well, it's interesting because I think on that tune, all of us know how high in the stack, or it's like the top of the pyramid. That's one of the greatest works that Brian ever did. And we all know that. So when we're on stage, when we get to that point of the show, our antennas go up a little bit higher. Now we're in this sort of rarefied atmosphere. We're really listening. I mean, we always listen to each other, to be in tune and be in the groove and all that. But for Surf's Up, we have to bring this sort of spiritual element to the song. So I think we all sort of turn our extra radar on with the antennas up, and we're like, we're gonna bring it. We're gonna somehow tie into that cosmic thing that Brian and we're gonna try to do this as perfectly and as spiritually and as magically as we possibly can. Like, I don't think I've ever played that song once and just sort of, looking over at the crowd or thinking about something else. No. When it's that song, then we're in a very special time. And the problem with that is that Brian, in a little more modern times, has publicly said that he didn't even like doing that song. So now we're trying to bring our best, and Brian he's not really into doing. I won't say doing his best, but he's not as much into the song as he used to be.
Well, that's got a strange story too, because Brian, by the time they wanted to do it for the Surf's Up album, he had gotten to the point where he had I don't think the right word is disenfranchised, but he had become uncomfortable with the idea of doing anything from Smile, because in his mind, his opinion, that had been placed aside. So when Carl was working on it, he would leave the house. He would leave his house because they were working on it in his house. And what surprised everybody is Brian, at the 11th hour, as they were just about to finish it, bursts in and goes with the tag of "Child is the Father of the Man." He says, "Okay, children's song," and he came in and he sang the tag for them, and they're like, "Oh, wow." Because he kept leaving the house. So obviously what happened is it did bother him from that personal perspective of this, I don't want to, this is too much, this isn't going to work, I can't do this. And then he'd leave the house, and it obviously went with him.
Right.
And so, it's just kind of, you have something on your mind, or you're humming a song, or you have a melody in your head. And he just came back in the house and burst in the studio and just said, I've got the ending. Because they didn't have that tag until Brian came back in and said, let's put this on it.
Sure, I remember that. And there's something really spiritual about a lot of these songs. And, you know, and I think sometimes people can forget the spirituality that is there. And I think it's something that's really deep, and it's really, as I said to Brian that time, I found it healing. And I think some of his music does that. I really do.
Yes.
And it has a place in your soul.
Yes.
That's hard to describe.
Jamie, did you happen to catch the Beck Brian Wilson tour? Jeff Beck?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Oh
I didn't.
my God!
I don't think I think that was only in the United States. I don't remember it outside of the country.
Seeing Jeff Beck perform "Surfs Up" and then having, because you guys all came out on stage and joined him and were doing the background vocals,
right?
Which was so. It was just. But Jamie, you reminded me of that because you're talking about that spiritual. Both of you have reminded me of that because of the spiritual element of that song and how it just is bigger than the lyrics. It's the feeling of it, and it's that spiritual continence. I guess I'll call it, for lack of better words. But watching Jeff Beck perform it, because to me there's a handful of guitarists in the world that you can kind of look at, watch them perform something, and actually feel them through their instrument. I mean, Lindsey Buckingham's one, Joe Walsh is one, Jeff Beck is certainly one. There's others, but I don't mean to do anyone injustice, but watching Jeff Beck perform that, Jamie, it was just maybe you can find it on YouTube, but it was just absolutely. You talk about spiritual quality. It kind of just was like watching. It was so interesting to watch someone else perform one of Brian's signature masterpieces that way, because it's really a piano-based song. To see it communicated through the guitar that way was just. It was like it was like taking off in a space rocket and heading, going somewhere else. It was fascinating.
My friend Nigel back in England said, because we've had a bit of a tough time out here in Spain in the last few months. There's been a lot of health issues and things we're through now, I think. But and my friend Nigel said the Beach Boys will always cheer you up and will help your spirit. And I thought, actually, yeah. And there's other people out there who do the same thing. But the Beach Boys, for me, are still the top of the tree and will always be, I think. But I know other artists too that are great. Of great spirit, and their songs fill your life with joy and peace, and that's what we need. It just helps sustain us. Without playing some of this music, life would be a little bit more dull, wouldn't it?
Love and mercy. That's what we need tonight.
Love and mercy. Yeah. And I saw a picture of Brian in his armchair reading Giggins's colouring, and I don't know if you know about the Beach Boys colouring in book. I haven't got a copy yet, but there was Brian looking at it with a smile on his face, and I thought, he looks great and happy looking at the book. I thought, well, you never know.
This is a recent photo.
Yeah,
the colouring book.
Yeah, it must have been.
I don't think I know about this colouring book.
There's a colouring book. Yeah.
Oh, when did that come out?
Sure. I modelled it.
Right, with your shirt.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good, David. When did that come out last year?
This has just come out. Look at this. This is my favorite page. And it's like pretend art. The Beach Boys in the saga of heroes and villains, and there's Al on a horse.
Oh, what?
All the other Beach Boys are behind him. And then at the bottom it says, with Wendy, Rhonda, directed by Mr. Smile, a brother picture.
Oh, I like it.
Crazy. It's so great.
I wish that if I'd had that when I was a kid, I would have bought multiple copies and colored them in with different colors for each one.
I'm doing Phantoms a little justice, but you can order the bundle and get the Beach Boys mug. You can get a Beach Boys sticker. You can get a little. This is little fruit scoop. This is a box of tiny
fruit scoop. I love it. That's great.
This guy's crazy.
And then there's a pin. There's 2 pins. So this is the funniest thing. I'm working on a review of all this stuff. But yeah, Jamie, to what you say, this is just. Oh, look! There's a little like Scooby-Doo like maze on the back. This is.
Oh, that's cool.
I could give that to my wife. She'll like doing that. She likes things like that, mazes.
I don't know if No, there's
Yeah.
nutritional facts on the side in case you're
Oh,
concerned.
oh no, it's come out of Brian's health food shop. Did it? Or
Does
something?
it actually, does it say on the nutritional facts contains no beach, no sand?
Added. Okay, total fat 0, total sugars 5%. Added harmony 100%.
I like that. I really do. Where do we get those from, Dave? Is that via Giggins or?
You can go to Fantunes. Now, Giggins was one of the authors. I think there's several authors who are
There's several
involved.
of them. Yeah.
And but if you go to Fantunes, they're on Facebook. You can find them. It's just FANTOONS, Fantunes, and then I know they have a website. You can order the bundles on the website.
Oh,
And
okay.
actually, Jamie, if you look at the brand new issue of ESQ, there's an ad.
Oh, is there?
It's on the back cover.
On the
I'm
back.
surprised
yeah,
I
of
didn't
course.
hear
There it
about
is.
this. I mean, I did hear about that there was a big book that was costing what, $1,000
Oh, yeah.
or something.
That's coming out sometime. So I think in
Yeah,
December.
It's not out yet.
No, I think that's coming out. Yeah, that's the one that you can use as a doorstop.
Oh, yeah, that'll be useful. Okay. Might keep breaking and stuff like that. But well,
Probyn, Jamie, is there anything else you want to ask Probyn before he goes?
Probyn, it's been an honor talking to you. It's been, mind blowing what you do on stage, and your support for Brian and the music. I'm greatly privileged to have heard you play, and meeting you today. It's been an honor for me. Thank you so much.
And thank you for being one of the ones that are keeping us going, because without people like you and your devotion to following the band, we wouldn't be out there doing it. So thank you.
Well, that's a pleasure. And one of my bits of advice for Probyn is keep walking backwards quickly, and we put time. We go ahead of time.
And don't make a deal with the devil.
Okay, no deals with the devil,
No
right?
deal with the devil.
Make sure you pray first.
Okay. All right.
God bless you, Probyn.
Thank you.
It's an honor. Thank
All right.
you.
Have a nice rest of your days.
What time is it there? What time is it with you?
Oh, what time is it? It's like 1:45 in the afternoon.
Oh, well, it's about nearly time for bed here, but still.
Yeah.
It's been great. Thank you, my friend.
Bye-bye now.
God bless you. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, what? Don't know what to say. David, I don't think I'll get to sleep tonight. I'd be so excited. The brain will be going.
Gotta remember to breathe. That's all. That's the trick. That's the trick.
Incredible. I'm so. What can I don't know how to thank you, but it was just, what a.
Well, hey, you're a VIP member. This is a part of the.
Can't believe it, and it's great to be part of this community, which is so needed. We need to do this, and you're fulfilling a great need.